Let's dive right in. You might not even realize it, but we're in the middle of a war. A silent, invisible one that's raging every single day. This is the battle for your brain.
I love how the author Tim Wu puts it. He calls it an epic scramble to get inside our heads. And that's exactly what it is. Think about it. Every app, every notification, every single thing on your feed, they're all like tiny soldiers fighting for a piece of your most precious territory, your focus.
So yeah, welcome to what they call the attention economy. It's this wild place where your attention isn't just something you give away, it's an actual currency. It's being bought and sold, And this constant bidding war for every second of your day is creating a very real and very exhausting problem.
And that problem has a name, digital fatigue. You know that feeling, right? When you're just completely wiped out mentally and emotionally from the constant flood of digital stuff. It's way more than just being tired of your phone. It's a real, genuine state of cognitive exhaustion.
So how do you know if you're kind of caught in the crossfire? Well, these symptoms are probably going to sound really familiar. First, your attention span is shot. You can't even get through a book or maybe even a whole movie without checking your phone. Your motivation just plummets. You might get what they call decision paralysis. So many choices you just can't pick one. And of course, there's that classic emotional exhaustion and irritability. Sound about right?
And look, this isn't just you feeling this way. It's backed by some pretty solid science. There's something called cognitive load theory, which basically says our brains are like a computer with limited RAM. When we get bombarded with too much information, it just overloads. Then you've got bounded rationality, which is just a fancy way of saying that when we're totally exhausted, our decision-making goes right out the window. This is the science behind the burnout we're all feeling.
Okay, so that's the battlefield out there. Now let's zoom in and look at the battlefield in here, inside our own heads, to understand the chemistry that's being hijacked.
Right at the center of this whole thing is one single powerful molecule. And here's the thing, it's not a villain, not really, but it is definitely being used against us. Its name? Dopamine.
Okay, so we've got to clear something up about dopamine because there's a huge misconception out there. We always hear it called the pleasure molecule, but that's not quite right. Dopamine isn't about the pleasure of having something. It's the intense motivation to go get it. It's the chemical of more. That's the key. It's the little engine that drives us to seek and scroll and click again and again.
This really breaks it down for us. So on one side, you've got wanting. That's all dopamine. It's the thrill of the hunt. But the liking, the actual pleasure you feel when you get the thing, that comes from totally different chemicals. And our apps, oh man, they are masterfully designed to keep that wanting system on overdrive all the time.
To really get what's happening here, I want you to picture a scale inside your brain, like an old-school balance scale. This is your pleasure-pain balance, and its natural, happy state is to be perfectly level. This whole idea is crucial to understanding our dilemma.
So, here's the play-by-play. Step 1, you get a notification. You see a funny video. Whatever your digital hit is, boom, the scale tips hard over to the pleasure side. Now, step 2, your brain, which absolutely hates being out of balance, immediately gets to work trying to level things out. But here's the crazy part, step 3. It doesn't just stop at level. Nope. It overcorrects and tips an equal amount over to the pain side. And that is the come down. That's that restless, bored, kind of blah feeling you get the second the stimulation stops.
And this is the absolute key takeaway. When we are constantly, and I mean constantly, slamming that pleasure side of the scale with these high dopamine hits, our brain does what it has to do to survive. It adapts. It actually lowers our baseline. This creates what you could call a dopamine debt. We end up needing more and more crazy stimulation just to feel normal. And suddenly, simple pleasures, like reading a book or just going for a walk, they just don't do it for us anymore.
All right, so that's the bad news. I know, it sounds like a tough battle. But here's the good news, you are not defenseless. So now let's talk about the counteroffensive, the strategies you can actually use to fight back and take back your focus.
First up, we have strategy number 1, and it's a real game changer, active relaxation. Now, this is not about zoning out on the couch watching TV. It's the exact opposite. It's about engaging your mind and your body in a way that actually restores you.
And the ultimate goal here, the holy grail of active relaxation, is to achieve what's known as a flow state. This is basically your brain's superpower. You know that feeling, right? When you're so totally immersed in something, a hobby, a sport, a puzzle, that the rest of the world, and especially your phone, just completely fades away?
So, what can get you there? Well, think of these as your personal power-ups. Things like yoga or dancing.
Painting, making art, getting your hands dirty in the garden, playing an instrument. You get the idea. Anything that really engages you and gives you just the right amount of challenge. See, this isn't passive consumption. It's active creation and engagement, and that is so much more restorative for your brain.
Okay, strategy number 2. This one is as old as humanity itself, and it's so powerful. Just getting back to nature. It is a potent antidote to the crazy overstimulation of our digital lives.
And of course, there's a scientific reason this works. It's called attention restoration theory. The basic idea is that our brains are literally hardwired to be restored by natural environments. It lets that part of our brain that's responsible for direct, hard focus, the part that gets so tired, to finally take a break and recharge.
And this is where we see a huge difference. Nature gives us what scientists call soft fascination. Think about just watching the clouds drift by or listening to leaves rustle in the wind. It holds your attention, but it's gentle, it's effortless. And that lets your mind wander and recover. It's the complete opposite of hard fascination, which is what you get from, say, an action movie or a video game. That stuff just hijacks your attention completely, and honestly, it can leave you feeling even more drained than before.
Okay, so we've got our strategies. What does this all mean for the long game? How do we actually go from being in this constant battle to finding, a sustainable peace with our technology?
First off, let's be super clear about something. The goal here is not to smash your phone with a hammer and go live in a cave, okay? This is not about eliminating technology or even getting rid of passive relaxation entirely. We all love a good movie night.
The real win here isn't framing it as active versus passive. It's about creating a healthy, intentional balance of active and passive relaxation. It's about building a routine for yourself that gives your brain both the deep engagement and the simple downtime that it actually needs to thrive.
Because when you start consciously choosing both, when you know you need that deep restoration from a flow state, and when you just need to chill out with a good show, you start building resilience. You're no longer just a passive victim in this attention economy. You become the active commander of your own mental health.
And really, that brings us to the final, most important question. We've laid out the battlefield. We've looked at the chemistry inside our heads. And we've talked about the strategies for a counterattack. The rules of the game are pretty clear now. So the only question left is, how are you going to choose to play?